In a rapidly expanding omniverse of sci-fi content, two Terrans try to make sense of it all. From the latest to the greatest to the most thought-provoking science fiction content on the screen, we bring you Crowded Space Podcast. Yeah, now's the time.
We good?
I do believe.
We ready?
As we'll ever be.
Okay. Here we go. I'm your host, Eric.
And I'm your other host, Jarod.
So, welcome to First Contact, a new content that we're going to dive into. Well, sort of new, but anyway. We're going to talk about the ARC series on Peacock and also on SyFy.
Yeah, it's a SyFy original that I think both of us watched it with our Peacock subscription. So,
yes. What'd you think?
Well, before I get into what I thought about it, I figured I'd just give a quick overview of the plot. And essentially, it follows a bunch of intergalactic travelers who are, on a Noah Ark like vessel as they're making for another planet because essentially, Earth got used up. So yeah, Earth's got a limited amount of time left, and these people on the ship get woken up because there was a collision or something happened on the ship, and it turns out all of the senior officers were killed in the accident, and it's them trying to figure out who's in charge and how to survive now that they're all awake in this very, very long journey. And they kind of lost their cryo bay.
Yeah.
So
what happened is because they were woken up early because I guess. So the computer woke them up because it was malfunctioning, and obviously it led to the whole crew and like you said, the whole.
I don't even think the computer woke them up, right? It crashed on Lieutenant Garnett's pod, and she got up and then woke people up.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, so it was kind of luck that or she maybe screwed everyone over by waking them up, but I think they would have died. Without her heroic effort,
right?
So. Well, and I guess that's the other just little plot point is that, at least in the first episode, it was really following mostly the lady that took charge, Lieutenant Sharon Garnett.
Yeah.
And her struggles to get people all on the same page. And
I like that. I like that part where she kind of like...
she's the number one reason. Yeah, she's the number one reason to continue watching this. Really, in my eyes, is that character. You had some other characters that you liked.
Yeah,
at any rate, but with the synopsis out of the way, what was your first impression? You have some characters that really stood out to you.
Well, yeah, like I said, I like the nerdy. Lisa was Nevin. Yeah, Nevin. Anyways, she was like the nerdy girl with the glasses and kind of like...
Depending on height, age, weight, and body type, most major studies say that a minimum of 1,200 calories is required.
It talks a lot and has social awkward moments, which I liked when that character kind of broke up the whole like dark theme of, we're all going to die here because, the ship's getting kind of into trouble, which is kind of like old sci-fi, which has that appeal for me anyway, like the old school where we're off exploring, and then something happens, and we have to save ourselves.
Lost in space.
Yeah, lost in space. Exactly.
It's been done
totally. Totally. Yeah. And then there's that other. What was his other name? James Bryce. I call him a super spy, but he's not really a super spy.
The Bellamy wannabe.
But anyway,
he was another guy. It's funny that you took. Yeah.
It does have a lot of parallels to that. To the show.
It does have 100 vibe to it for sure.
Yeah. Definitely.
And that's not necessarily a
100 was pretty good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I mean, I never finished it, but I enjoyed most of it.
I totally enjoyed the heck out of a lot of the episodes, but I didn't finish it. Sarah did.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, so how does it end? I'm like, oh really? Okay, I'm glad.
That's lame.
I made a good choice there.
You know what happens is they get caught. At least they finish it off, right? Because sometimes you're into a show, something happens, budget's cut, the show's getting canceled, and it's like, done.
Yeah.
Like,
yes. Honestly, it's one of those. For me, the 100 they could have finished it up. Should have finished it up several seasons ago, and they let it limp along. So I'm a big proponent of 5 seasons. Right? If you can't tell a story and have some good character arcs and everything after 5 seasons, then you're just in it for a money grab at some point.
Absolutely.
And I get it. You should be able to make money off your product, but it's just you really, 5 seasons is a lot of content. And, there's some exceptions to that, but if you look at some of the best,
It takes a while to watch
stuff out there, 5 seasons is kind of. I guess for me the arc, it's a bunch of no names. And that's okay.
I like that.
That's actually probably more of a plus than a negative. Yeah. But I guess it made me realize I've been spoiled with a lot of the content that we have been watching, where it's something we keep saying. Oh, the actors were phenomenal. In here, it is a ensemble cast. Yeah. This is essentially. I just watched the first episode. This is a premiere.
He's a legendary horticulturist.
And I get it. In a lot of shows, it takes a while for the actors to find their stride and really understand their characters. So with that said, I think a lot of these characters or actors are going to grow into it. But right now, I thought some of the acting was kind of, and it did feel more like a teeny bopper.
I feel like it's like a modest adventure with a clever pseudoscience behind it.
Oh, well, so
you know what I mean?
Clever. So for me, that it's one of my
Modest
big
adventure.
negatives in terms of the first impression is like, you guys should have got a scientific consultant for design.
Because you're a scientist, man.
Stuff. And it really, but yeah, it's come on, it's not. It's science fiction. Put some science in there. It's not just fiction. Right.
Well, Trek had some of the best writers of technobabble.
It's just
technobabble.
You're going to be scraping by for every bit of space in a ship like that, and so it's like, oh, here's your cryo bay, and everyone's spaced out 5 feet apart. It's like it makes no sense. Oh, here's here's our cargo bay, and it's like mostly empty with 5 boxes. Like I smuggled in some soil. Like you could have smuggled in a fucking 20 Ford Escorts. It's an empty cargo bay. This is ridiculous. Like this is not how spaceships work. It should be tight, and you should be cramped for space. So, yeah, things like that definitely. And I get it. You need to fit a bunch of actors on stage, and you need to have some space just for production to make sense. But at the same time, make things look compact and futuristic, and not just look like
they wanted a grandeur. Like make it. Oh wow, look at all this. They do have a lot of space, but in that space, they don't have much stuff in it. Yeah. So it's kind of like it takes away from it.
They've got this tiny bay, and they've got their lights to grow their crops. And I'm sorry, but that's such a minimal amount of power. And they're like, Captain, you can't handle much more of this. It's like, you got fucking 5 LED lights on. I could power that with my car battery for enough to grow crops. So I don't know what you guys are whining about here, that the whole space, the shuttle's going to shut down. So...
It's so true.
Yeah. Like what? And I know they haven't gotten into how they're powered and all of that.
I don't think you'll never see that. I think they want you to
ridiculous.
just go into the imagination chopper and just be like, oh, that's how it's powered. I don't think they'll ever go into the detail.
Well, no, I can see that we're getting into conspiracy theory stuff, and there's gonna be it was not an accident, it was an attack, and there's inside people, and there's gonna be factions, or that's my prediction.
It's almost like the 100, right?
But it's already making me want to guess what's going on next, and so I will give it some credit that even though I didn't like some of the acting and definitely didn't like a lot of the science, they did build an interesting enough world for me to like.
Maybe that's what they want you to do, is focus on that more than the
well, it was really interesting because in a lot of these, I almost never watch in next week's episode.
This season on the Ark.
Because it feels like a mini spoiler for me. And this one, I'm kind of on the fence. It was kind of cheesy and not well thought out in some parts, but the character interactions were kind of interesting. And so I actually watched coming in the season, I'm like, ooh, that looks good. And so they
got you hooked?
I don't know. I haven't made up my mind.
I think you're just so starved for something that... I think you're so starved for, something that's not a superhero that
could be that I'm blinded.
You're kind of blinded to new things. But, with Mando around the corner and Picard, 3rd season, It's gonna be
Yeah,
some stiff,
my viewing time is going to be limited
stiff
with a lot of good
competition.
stuff. Yeah. So with that said, I will keep it on my radar. I think it's one of those I really don't want to be waiting for it every week to come out, and I might just wait and binge it.
That's the best
when
way
it's-
to do it.
Yeah.
Honestly, it really is.
It might be one of those. Oh, I'm sick. Oh yeah, the arc that had potential.
Perfect.
But that really is my take of it. On it in general. It's rough around the edges, but it really does have potential. Even though so far the kind of situations that they've put forward are nothing new. It's like, oh, something's wrong with the ship, or our life support is going down.
Yeah.
And so
I mean, they made the ship look cool enough to where it's not like overly used in other shows. So they kind of made it its own, give its own like appearance.
yeah, but there's other things like this. Oh, lockdown. There's a breach. I'm like, this lockdown makes no sense. Why are you locking people? Apart
Why are you
from each
locking them in?
other? It's like, no, you're just locking them in to make a dramatic reason to run out of air. It doesn't make any sense that those particular people were locked in those particular areas. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I think they should have went with a different, like, oh, maybe the ship malfunctioned and that's what happened with the lockdown. Because it made no sense for the ship to lock everything down when the air is running out. There's no breach anywhere. Like,
Right. And it's like, oh, we have to ration our water, but we're gonna not turn off water to the showers. We're gonna be on the honor system. It's like, what? No, there would be just go in and turn it off.
yeah, that's
But-
why Cat was
But
in
again,
there. The show Cat. She was in there.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
She was gonna take a shower and she got
the
caught.
bad seed.
So I think she did it. I think she's the guilty one.
Yeah, any of the other characters stand out to you? There was a really cool scene. I like when Lieutenant Spencer essentially questioned her authority by when she just said go ahead with diverting the power and starting up the food.
Yeah.
And I loved her response to it. It was like the perfect response of like, hey, how to deal with something like that. Because he was right.
You're right. I apologize. I should have brought everyone together and allowed people to weigh in.
You think?
And you should have pulled me aside and spoken with me. Instead, you needed to grandstand and challenge me in front of everyone.
He really was right.
Yeah.
You shouldn't go and do this without checking in with other people. But at the same time, she was totally right. You should talk to me privately instead of trying to, tear me down for what's obvious egocentric political reasons.
Right. That's a military thing too.
Yeah. And so that was really one of my top scenes. Like, oh, if there's more writing like this, then sign me up. I can maybe look over all the science stuff.
It might get better with the science stuff.
I was gonna say it's just like the actors finding their characters.
Yeah.
That the writers and the set producers or set people, the gaffers. I don't know. I'm an idiot when it comes to that. Will find their stride and make a more believable universe that the characters are in.
Yeah. I think it has potential of being something. I mean, it's not like peripheral, but it has definitely like it's one of those, like you said, you let it go through the whole all the episodes, and then you're done watching. You just really shows you want to watch, and you're like, let me go through this and see how it is. Maybe it'll catch you. Maybe it'll catch your attention. Maybe it won't. But in the end, I'm not like, oh my God, I gotta watch this every day. It comes on Thursdays. I better sit by the TV and wait for it to come on.
Yeah, that was my
that's Mandalorian for me.
Oh, that is Mandalorian. Yeah.
Not the arc.
Nope. It did not have that effect, but
No.
that's okay.
But I think if you're looking to have a filler for sci-fi, then I think this is your show.
Yeah, a lot of potential. Like I said, the What's Coming this season was one of the first ever that I've seen that was like, ooh, that might actually work on me.
There's a lot of
and there's a great
characters.
little twist at the end, that the lieutenant leader here, maybe she just killed a guy to protect one of her secrets and that she's got a dark past.
Oh no. She used the shower and she didn't want to get
Yeah,
she got caught by that guy.
Yep.
She's been hogging the water up the whole
She
time.
bled him. She just cut his throat and bled him dry and feasted on his blood. You don't know where this thing's gonna go.
Yeah, she could be a space vampire. You never know.
Yeah. Well, I think that was a pretty good recap. So I'll say signing off for this week's First Contact. I'm your other host, Jarod.
And I'm your host, Eric.
And remember, folks, it's not the destination.
It's the journey.
Peace.
Later.